when it comes to talking about things that are off limits, there's not exactly a huge line as to where that safe line, like where to tread. But I was talking with a friend, and we came to the conclusion that there's only like a select few of people that I think we can all unanimously agree on the world that you really don't talk ill about because of the legacy they've left behind and the kind of people they are overall. And we agree that they are Bob Ross, Jim Henson, and Stan Lee. And I threw in there Steve Irwin. So I'd say about four. And the reason why is because they're known for how positive and just how overall nice they are. Like, no one really has a negative thing to say about them. Maybe Jim Henson, but and a lot of that was just secrecy behind closed doors. But like, they're praised, they're loved by everyone. They come off as extremely positive, uplifting people. So not many people make jokes at their expense. I mean, yeah, we'll joke about Steve Irwin and the crazy Australian accent, and we'll make joke about Muppets and what have you. But so when Stan Lee died, fans had been flocking left and right to pay their respects, and I mean from all walks of life, from Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse. Because the man pioneered an age of comics, which I have to agree, I don't think would be possible without Stan. Enter Bill Maher, or Maher, I don't know how you want to... someone I genuinely do not like. The main reason is because to me, politically, ideologically, he's very extreme on a lot of things. And ultimately, he gives off this persona, he gives off this idea that he's holier than thou, like his opinion somehow means more because he's the one having it. So, what did he say exactly that, a lot of people are pissed off? And this is pissing off his fans. I'm sorry, my kid is... Whenever the camera goes on, she goes nuts. Well, he couldn't help but toss his hat in the ring, and in a blog post to his website this last Saturday, the late night host wrote, "America is in mourning, deep, deep mourning for a man who inspired to, I don't know, watch a movie, I guess." Moving on, he also continued saying that he's saying he has nothing against comic books, but that when he was growing up, comics were for kids, and when you grew up, moved on to big boy books without pictures. But then 20 years or so ago, something happened. Adults decided they didn't have to give up kid stuff, he said. And so they pretended comic books were sophisticated literature. I'm going to be breaking a lot of this down. And then brought politics into it, bringing up Donald Trump, and then he goes on to say, "I don't think it's a huge stretch to suggest that Donald Trump could only get elected in a country that thinks that comic books are important." Okay, a lot to dissect here. So for those of you who are not aware, this guy is a giant tool. And my apologies to people who are a fan of Bill Maher. I think that Maher, whatever. If you're fans of him, fine. Just don't expect me to be jumping on that bandwagon, okay? There's a lot of stuff he does that I don't like. And anytime he invites someone on, I'd say 98% of the time he invites someone on that does not share his ideals, he doesn't let them talk. He'll let them get 2 or 3 sentences, and if it's not him, it's a panel that he chooses that'll sit there and grill him. Like Coleon Noir was on there not too long ago talking about firearms and how he's against a lot of the gun preventative measures. And literally, Bill was okay, and then when the panel was on, they would not let him speak. Now, it's his show. He has to kind of, like, dial it all in. I think he caters to a very certain demographic, and after his comments against Stan Lee, I can tell you right now, he pissed off everybody, except the true diehard fans. And again, you're a fan. I'm trying to look the other way here. I'm taking off my, I'm trying to take off my biased, glasses here, but first things first. The man did more than inspire people to watch movies. Anyone who follows Stan Lee, it's more than just the comics. It's the man himself. He did so much as a human being, as a humanitarian, to just about anything involving Marvel, comic books, as a person in general. He lived by a motto and by a creed that not many of us actually live by. He worked for what he loved, and he loved doing it. Now, toward, I'd say, the last several months, there were a lot of hints that, like, this may be looking like this is going to be the end. There was a lot of health scare, but the man is praised for just being an overwhelmingly, like, loving, likable, caring person who went out of his way to just be the most optimistic and positive person he possibly could be. And it was more than just movies. His cameos in the movies we all love because we see a man enjoying the fruits of everything he put into a business that took decades to do. You know, we gotta understand something. If Stan Lee hadn't gone into comics, we wouldn't have an MCU. If we did have an MCU, it would not be what it is now. I guarantee you. It would be much like those old cheesy comic book movies from like the 80s and 90s still, where they're just extremely, really cheaply made with terrible writing and horrible directing and a god-awful costume design. So, it has more to do than just going to the movies, I guess. Goes on, and then when he mentioned, like, when he was growing up, the comic books are for kids. No, comic books are loved by children, adults, almost all walks of life. As a matter of fact, walked into a comic book store and I saw a gentleman who probably was in his 50s or 60s enjoying comic book or buying his subscription. So all walks of life enjoy comics now. Just because back in your times and your anecdotal little situation here, I don't necessarily buy that. Comic books have been huge since about the 50s and 60s. I mean, Captain America propaganda comics, come on. Anyway, move on to big boy books without the pictures. We all read. We all like our pictures and books, and then to bring politics into it, and to think that the reason, that if we entertain a nation of childish adults, where that's the only reason why Donald Trump got elected. Look, I'm going to go on a limb here. Donald Trump got elected because a lot of people who voted for Barack Obama felt screwed. They were sick of the politics. They were sick of the lies. They were sick of the constant growing debt, the growing into a progressive country that not a lot of people were seeing the benefits from. That's why they voted for Donald Trump. That's why they did. And if you look at the numbers, you'll notice that there was a big, steep drop-off from the people who voted for Obama in the last election, who voted for Trump now. Comic books have nothing to do with that. I know people and every religious belief, political affiliation, who all read comics. My kid right now is dying for attention. You need to stop. I know, it's upsetting. It's very upsetting. But here's the thing. Are we really, truly surprised that he said these things? I mean, I have here a nice little list of other comments he's made that are, making jokes at Tila Tequila's expense for when she got assaulted back in 2009. Making comments about Hillary Clinton, but to be fair, everyone does. Let's see. Referred to a member of One Direction. He compared a band member from One Direction to the Boston Marathon bomber. Let's see. He says dogs are like children with mental disabilities. Made fun of Palin's son. Says 9/11 terrorists weren't cowardly. I'm sorry if your belief, if you think your belief is telling you to hijack a plane with explosives and crash it into a building so you can have your virgins in heaven, yeah, you're a coward. And I'm sorry, you also deserve to burn in hell for that too. So Cheers. And then he made a comment in which he referred to himself as a house N-word. So it's no surprise the guy has made inflammatory comments. Here's the thing, Bill. I have nothing to gain from talking crap about you. I don't like what you do. Here's the simple facts, okay? You're someone who loves to jump on the bandwagon whenever you can, whenever it's important. I think he saw what was going on with Stan, and he saw it be a great opportunity to get a jab in, to get some attention, and it's working. And this, I guess I'm doing him a service by doing what I'm doing here. But here's the thing. Stan Lee is one of those true, righteous, good people of the world. You never hear anyone talk bad about him. You always hear about all the work and the time he's put into Marvel and with comics and the industry and the movies, the inspiration, him working with the actors, the cameos he does in these movies, the work he does outside of movies with TV shows, conventions. It just goes on and on. The guy loved doing what he did. And for someone like Bill to come in and make comments like that, and we're not even a week away. Like, this was less than a week after he had passed. So clearly Bill is the kind of person where he doesn't value human life that much, and only if it really benefits him. And he catches in. That's right. And he only really cares about himself. So I hope you join me in my official, I guess, a boycott of Mr. Bill Maher, or Bill Maher. I keep hearing it in so many different ways. Because in my opinion, he's just a terrible human being. He's a terrible human being who makes extremely egregious comments, and people buy it hook, line, and sinker because he somehow is able to walk it back and have people buy his BS. I think he's the kind of person that is going to horribly mislead people into doing some terrible, terrible things. And for him to go as far as he did talking about Stan Lee, minimizing his contribution to the world, and then insulting the fans the way that they did, I see a big apology coming very soon. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Let's put it this way, he done messed up in a big way.